I support cannabis legalization because the fact that anybody has to interface with the police over cannabis use is ridiculous. Cannabis is one of the most beneficial plants on earth. It's a plant you should have a relationship with for decades of your life until you're on your last breath. And the more that we can make it available to the public and make them feel comfortable using it, the better we're going to be as a society.
I support legalization because no one should go to jail for a plant. Our society, our earth, they need cannabis to heal. We need to bring this plant out into freedom, into the open, so that it can give us all of the benefits that it can.
It is important that we stop arresting people for this lifestyle. It is important that we protect parents and their rights as adults and for their children. It's important that we educate teenagers and young people on responsible uses and not continue to proliferate a narrative of abstinence, which does not do anything for education and teaching people about harm reduction and responsible use.
I support the legalization of cannabis for the social justice issues, but also for the environmental impact and the fact that we can bring hemp back to California and create a multi-billion-dollar industry.
I support cannabis legalization because I'm a cannabis consumer and I am sick of being discriminated against in our society.
Legalizing cannabis is the last stand in ending one of the worst civil rights violations of our time. And to end prohibition, to finally legalize this plant for everyone, whether you're a patient or you're just simply practicing harm reduction, that you're choosing a little bit of bud over a bud. To allow that personal freedom and personal responsibility, I think is first and foremost what our country was founded on and what we need to get back to. I do not believe that allowing adults to consume cannabis and researching quality medicine for patients should be mutually exclusive. We can walk and chew gum at the same time.
I'm Cedric O'Bannon and I'm from Oakland, California, and I'm supporting Prop 64 because I believe it's time to make a change. People who have been persecuted and terrorized by these prohibition laws need a break. We need to change the situation and release people from the bondage of the criminal justice system. We need to pass this law so people can get relief from the trauma that they've been going through for decades with the criminalization of cannabis.
This is personal to me because people's lives are ruined over this. And I feel very fortunate. I am a white person who is well educated, who is not suspect when law enforcement approach me. And this is not true for a lot of folks, including a lot of folks that I care about. And I'm tired of hearing about people having their opportunities taken away because of the use of cannabis. And I shudder to think of the people who are currently in prison for crimes related to cannabis, who are geniuses, who hold in their brains the cure for cancer, the end to global warming, and yet these folks are not even going to be able to get jobs because of their use of cannabis. And maybe it's selfish, but we need to be able to take advantage of that genius. And right now, when it's behind bars, we're just not able to.
This is personal to me because I don't want to go to jail. I want to be free. I want to be equal. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to worry. I don't want to be a second-class citizen anymore. I want equality now.
It is personal to me because I have been working on this for the majority of my adult life. I got involved in this because I was one of those individuals who did get caught up in the criminal justice system.
This is personal to me because of the fact that cannabis has been an intimate part of my entire adult life, and it's something that I'm not ashamed of, and it's about time we come above board and treat it like a normal thing in society.
I've seen the destruction of the drug war in our work through the years, people in prison, and I'm sick of it, and I think we need to start getting these people out of jail, get their criminal records expunged, and get people moving in a more positive direction, ending the criminalization and moving into a public health paradigm, a new legal era.
I've spent, the past 11 years working on cannabis reform. I moved to California because I believed California was going to be the most progressive space in whatever this future cannabis industry becomes.
Nearly 10 years ago, I started working with patients and understood the truth about a plant that I never even imagined, but that I had known all my life. Once I learned the truth, not just about what cannabis can do for people, for patients, but more importantly, what the government has done in the meantime to prevent people from utilizing this plant, has become a moral imperative for me. When you learn of the babies ripped off the breasts of nursing mothers because they're using a plant growing in their closet, when you understand the human rights violations that are visited upon our humankind every day for using a plant. People say that legalizing pot is like just not in their top 10. And I get it. You know, I have a top 10 that's not legalizing pot either. But I've realized that legalizing pot affects everything in my top 10, to either give it the resources to make it happen or stop detracting from the resources that are preventing those things from happening. Early childcare, education, things along these lines. When we're so busy putting young Black and brown kids in jail, we're not helping them succeed. And my children are growing up with your children. And if we don't start showing that respect of life, of the ability for humans to make this choice for themselves without being criminalized, that's when I'll stop. But for right now, it's medical if you're white, and it's criminal if you're not. And that is my moral imperative.